With us, what we're doing is we're taking a different approach. We're trying to disrupt on price. We are going to disrupt on price. That is one of our focuses. We design this product with price in mind.
Talk now, your smart building video and podcast for the week ending December 20th, 2016. My name is Eric Stromquist, and you're listening or watching Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings videocast and podcast. And I am joined by the co-host, the man who can, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers, also known as the man, the myth, the legend, the smartest guy in the room, the future Pulitzer Prize winning blogger. Hey man, Kenny, welcome to the show, big dog.
Oh, thank you very much, Eric. And I want to make a couple of corrections here. It is November. You came up with December there. I don't know if you're just anxious for Christmas.
Yeah, I'm hoping for some Christmas time, right?
And two, I have a policy, and you're a testament to that. All my friends had to have one characteristic. They had to be smarter than me, and that was my sole criteria for friendship.
So how in the world have you wound up hanging out with me then, dude? I tell you what, that's
that's self. No, I appreciate what you do. Just this getting all this stuff up. I don't know how you do it. I'm pretty good at stuff, but I'm not really mechanically inclined, like some people I know. Some of the systems integrators. It's amazing. They build their own houses. They can't let anybody do it. They have to do it themselves. They have to know that they put it in right. And it works the way they like it, and they tweak it. And boy, I'll tell you, I can't do that. But
well, hang on, real quick. Speaking of that, buddy, just so you know. Of course, I'm looking at you on Skype on the one computer I'm bringing you in on. You're moving around, you're animated, but on the recording computer, it looks like you are frozen, but you're frozen in a really good pose. So you look cool. So I think we're just going to roll with it. So for our audience out there who's watching the video cast, Kenny is practicing being really, really still, and he's practicing ventriloquism skills. So he's actually speaking without moving his voice or his head or his body. So Ken, I'm really amazed with how well you're doing that.
Well, it's harder than it looks, Eric. So, I appreciate that. No, I got a great connection up here. But listen, we are in Storm City. We had our high today of 60, and we're going to drop like 30 degrees. We have a cold front coming in with bringing all kinds of nasty stuff. My thermostat, which is really cool. I got the Schneider Electric, my thermostat here. It tells me my Weiser Air thermostat. Again, thanks to Doug Getting. But it has snow warnings. I get the lake effect snow warning up on my thermostat blinking to tell me to be careful out there. So it's kind of cool having that integration, and it's also on my thermostat on my phone. So the contextualization that Therese Sullivan made us aware of is just growing on me more and more because having a smart device and then have it connected, man, you just have unlimited options on being connected and learning about different stuff and knowing about stuff automatically. You just get these pop-ups and these alerts, and I appreciate the stuff because I don't know where we'd be without it. It's like UPS next day air. What did we do without it? So here's my the lake effect.
Of course, we can't see it, Kenny, because you're frozen on the screen. But Kenny is holding up his iPhone with a beautiful little weather app on it, which is really, really cool. So cool stuff there, Kenny. But you're still in ventriloquism mode for our video casters, so you know. But
good. That means I can get away with a lot of stuff on the side of the camera. That's great.
You can put your shirt back on, Kenny. Come on.
Well, I'll tell you, we gotta get out of change channels and this stuff here. Okay, listen, we've got two great sponsors today. You want to know a little bit more about?
I do want to know about our sponsors today, for sure.
Well, our first one, and you can't see it, is Blue Ridge Technology, and I was on that site again. Seems like I'm on there like twice a week now. We're doing a lot of quoting, and we see a lot of people are really getting the hang of what their concept's all about. The unified lighting concept. One network, one user interface, one point of accountability, wide open integration. So, using the technologies that are available, Mr. William Dunkelberger has come up with a concept of really making it easier for systems integrator to tackle the ongoing challenges that lighting brings. So, a lot of retrofit information. They have a great website. It's www.brtint.com. And if you need any information about lighting, I mean, they've got a library here that, full of videos, full of, white papers, full of, they've got all the wiring diagrams you need for retrofits. So just a ton of information. And I know a lot of people are out there always looking for ideas. Check out Blue Ridge Technology and their lighting solution.
Well, I tell you what, I got a little bit to say about Blue Ridge too. We've often joked, what would you get if you crossed the Sons of Anarchy with Einstein? And the joke is you get Bill Duckelberger, man. He is, one of the coolest guys in the industry. We talk about him a lot. Extremely likable guy. I mean, he's kind of like got his own set of values, which are really great values, meaning Bill tells you he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And just a great guy to work with. We've told the story about Bill before, where he actually started at ALC sweeping the floors and worked his way up. Again, the president of ALC, then was an executive at United Technologies when they bought him out. And United had this lighting company. It wasn't called Blue Ridge then, but it was something that Bill thought he could do something with. I think he bought that from United Technologies and created Blue Ridge Technologies. And just, so he understands lighting from the concept of an integrator. If you haven't seen his panels, you need to check them out for sure. And Bill's up for Executive of the Year on the Control Trends Awards. He's got a great tech support woman, Christy O'Neill. I think if you deal with Blue Ridge, you can attest to just what an amazing tech support person she is. And she's up for Best Tech Support Person, as well as the Control Trends Woman of the Year. So encourage you to, if you haven't voted yet, Blue Ridge, you can, during the nomination period, you can vote for up to 3 people for each category. So I think Blue Ridge is somebody you want to take a serious look at. But great stuff with those guys, Kenny Smyers. And tell us about our next sponsor.
All right, Eric, our next sponsor is OptaG, and very interesting company. It's a technology company dedicated to the business of managing buildings, facilities, and enterprises with tools to improve efficiency, performance, and processes while providing key stakeholders with the information and reporting to make their strategic decisions. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about OptaG later in the show. But basically, when you talk about integration, facility performance, and automated energy, you're talking about OptaG.
No, really good stuff. And, Stevie G's coming on a little bit later on. I spoke with him earlier the week, Kenny. He was down in Asia. He's been on the road for, I think, he said 8 to 10 weeks he's been in Asia. So these guys are making quite an impact down there. He might travel as much as Mad Mike Marston from EasyIO, but super, super good guy. They've got a product that sounds like it's just going to knock the socks off of the race to the small space. So Steve will tell us a little bit more about that today when we get him on. And hopefully he won't be in frozen mode, Kenny. And I think that we might call this the frozen episode, right? Remember we had the bow tie episode with Josh Bradshaw? This could be the frozen episode, right? And I'll try to stay real still too and I can't move my lips, but you're about to find out what the best kept secret in the smart building controls industry is. How about introducing our next guest?
Love to, Eric. Our next guest is Miss Stacy Kimball, Channel Development Brand Leader for Schneider Electric. And Stacy's going to talk to us about Energy University, which explores the source for energy efficiency in education. Stacy, welcome to the show.
Hey, Stacy, welcome to the show.
Hey, Eric. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, what do you got going on? I mean, Kenny and I already know, but for our audience, tell them about what's happening.
I want to show you something really cool. It's a website that can help your clients, and it's kind of a secret. Not a lot of people know about it. It's called www.myenergyuniversity.com. And what it is a website that contains all kinds of classes that your clients can take 24/7, no charge. And it's really about infrastructure. It's learning about building controls. It's learning about pressure. It's learning about electrical energy consumption. And it's completely vendor neutral. We do host it, and the content comes from us, but it also comes from industry experts across the globe.
Oh, very good stuff, Stacy. Is the Energy University global? Available globally? Is it just for North America, or for all Schneider Electric customers? Or tell us a little more about that.
It's a global tool. What's also really cool: 12 languages. I mean, that's kind of hard. If you've got folks on your team that maybe English is not their native language, and they're trying to get some education, this is a great place to go. The other thing I really like about it is that the classes are, 45 minutes with a test at the end. We even got some classes that are CEU or PhD credited, depending upon the organizations that your membership are part of. So there's some great content on here. The classes are really cool. I was actually part of designing some for the healthcare industry. So for example, you'd have a contractor that comes into a hospital and didn't understand the environment of care and didn't understand why the hospital would become so upset if you got up into the ceiling tiles and were doing work. So it really helps people understand. Clients that they call on can also help understand the infrastructure itself. And it's a great tool for matriculating your staff. So definitely check it out.
Cool. What's the best way for them to use it?
I want to show you some things on the website itself. So let's take a look at the course catalog. I just want to give you an idea. What I normally like to do is I like to look at the courses by topic. All right, so for example, let's just look at this. Courses on boilers and steam systems, building automation control, compressed air. All of these are things that a lot of your clients can use. And then you can see the kinds of information. Steam systems classes from 1 to 6. Boiler types and opportunities for energy efficiency. You might look for building automation. You've got building controls. Again, really kind of helping folks understand. And then you just click on more information. And here's information on that particular class. Take a look. And then if you want to take it, you just add it to your cart. Super simple.
All right. Well, let's add that to Control Trend's website. For our listeners out there, again, the website is myenergyuniversity.com. Stacey, thanks for taking a few minutes to speak with us.
Hope that was helpful. I hope your folks enjoy it, and definitely sign up. Log in, www.myenergyuniversity.com. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot, Stacey.
Hey, Kenny, I tell you what, man, as you know, one of the biggest challenges that our industry faces is education. And I tell you what, if you haven't been to this website yet, it is phenomenal. The way you can go through the courses is very, very comprehensive. And the fact that it's global, hey, Samir Pradham, I hope you're paying attention. This should be great for our listeners in India as well as all around the world.
Well, sure is, Eric. This is amazing because education is on the internet now. It's defined by your own initiative. But this thing's the real McCoy. I mean, this thing covers 4 major products. It gives solutions, products, services, and then leads to there's 200 free courses on the College of Energy Efficiency and College of Data Centers. So you can choose a different professional development path to prepare, and you come away with a professional certification for the PEM or the DCCA. So if you want to really truly dig in, there's no excuse. You can chew this up for probably several years to go through all these courses and come away with a bona fide certificate of attendance and accomplishment. So
well, not only that, Kenny, like she said, you can get most of these courses are CEU certified in many instances, so you can get that. But for our young guns out there, for our old dogs trying to learn new tricks, I mean, this is a great place to go, and it's free. And on top of that, Kenny, so much of it's generic. In other words, they do talk about some of their products, but overall, it's talking about different industries, different segments. I mean, the thing on the boilers is phenomenal in steam. They got a great one on data centers. So a very, very comprehensive catalog, Kenny. I mean, you and I have been talking a long time about, how are we going to solve this education problem? It looks like Snyder Electric is all over it. So very much thanks to Stacey for that. And I think if you check the ballot, Kenny, she's been nominated for a couple of things, CGNA Woman of the Year being one of them. So again, thanks to Stacey. And Kenny, let's move on to our next post. All right, Kenny, man. So we had a couple really good posts this week. Hit us up with the first post. What we have, big dog?
I'd love to, Eric. Yeah, well, we did. We had the time's going by so fast here. Of course, we're getting really excited about the Control Trends Awards coming up here January 29th. But our first post was in the field. I was at the 449 grand opening the Steamfitters training facility in Zelienople, PA. And, I tell you what, when you talk about training and you talk about professional education and the trades, it doesn't get any better than this facility here. So what we had was the governor, Tom Wolf, came into Pittsburgh. He went to the new gas facility that they're redoing for the fracking industry here in Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania. Then he came over to the 449 Steamfitters training facility, and they had what they called a pipe cutting ceremony. So it's the equivalent of ribbon cutting. And, he basically took the pipe cutter and wound it around the pipe until it snapped, and it was a big celebration. This facility is a $20.2 million facility with the state-of-the-art welding booths, backflow preventers. It was the largest expanded view of a backflow preventer to work on and train on, and the stations, whatever. I mean, each room had a particular thing, and that takes us to what was really important and near and dear to our heart was the Honeywell system that's running the building. And they have 4 training stations to take the new N4 Jace the Honeywell's Web Jace is controlling the building at 8100, and then they have these stations where the students that are in the training program can actually interface with the equipment that's heating and cooling the building and the pumps and whatever. And they do it in such a way that it protects, of course, the facility, so they're not going to be able to do any damages, but they can actually feel real loads. With the chillers and whatever. So, I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it. It's an amazing facility, and the future looks bright for the trades and the 449 Steamfitters. So it's a really great experience.
Well, it was awesome. And, of course, Jim Jancy was there from Remnick Brothers, and, like you said, they did the installation on that. And I tell you what, man, another Smyers boy was there, David Smyers, your brother and partner in DMS Controls Group. But I tell you what, Kenny, I mean, it's like, did Fellini film that thing? The video quality and the video was just very artistic. So who was the videographer on that particular shoot?
Well, thank you for the good plug there. It was me and my new iPhone, and I'll tell you what, you have given me several tips, but the idea is to maintain a steady hand, So we had Roger Rebenak there. Of course, we're all just kind of dancing around the real issue. The real issue and the real celebrity on him was Mr. Roger Rebenak. He does a very, very enthusiastic, plug in the actual video, but Roger was very impressed because he loves what he does. He has a passion for it, and he believes in Honeywell, and he thinks Honeywell is the greatest thing since sliced bread and bar soap. So I mean, he was just walking around and just enjoying the ambience of so many important people and so many impact people. There's a lot of vendors there, so it was really neat. But Roger took he really believes in that concept, and of course we did the IBW too, the IBW 5. When we talk about training facilities, as far as HVAC and building management, that is it might be the top facility I've ever been in. To take an apprentice from zero to a systems integrator status. So great stuff. We're really proud of what these guys do, and very impressive facility.
No, it's very, very cool, Kenny. And great job on the video. Great job with Jim Jancy, the installation. And man, love having the shots you have in the field. So keep those coming. And speaking of that, Kenny, on the website we have a little thing called Ask a Controls Expert.
It's time for Ask a Controls Expert. Ken and Eric reach out to the global control trends community to get your controls questions answered. Now, here's your controls question of the week.
Which is basically, you can actually verbally ask us a question, and then we go find a controls expert to answer it. Now, I've been kind of remiss with that. We get some good questions, and some we get where people are just trying to sell me stuff, and then there are the women that keep calling wanting to know your phone number, which I won't give to them. But we do have a legitimate question this week, so I'm going to hit it up with this week's segment of Ask a Controls Expert. All right, this week's question, Kenny, comes from Roy, and I'll let you hear Roy's voice as he asks the question.
How does a multifunctional gas valve work?
All right, we reached out to Stromquist company David Cates, David's got almost 40 years of experience in the controls industry, working at Stromquist company, one of the really, really great tech support people. And David is going to answer your question, Roy. Here you go.
Hi, Roy. This is David Cates. I assume when you say multifunction gas valve, you're actually talking about a combination gas valve like we see on our furnaces at home. They normally have 2 valves in it. That's why they call it combination. The second valve, one valve works off of the usually 24-volt circuit. The second valve works off of the thermocouple pulling in and allowing it to prove the flame. So you've got a thermocouple or a hot surface igniter going to prove your flame, and then your power pulling in the valve. And it also has a gas regulator in it to regulate the pressure down a little bit further, usually down to around 3 inches to the furnace. Thank you.
Kenny Smyers, looks like you're back, man. Cool thing. Thank you to David Cates for that answer, and hopefully he was talking about a combination gas valve. So if you have a question, you can go on Ask a Controls Expert and give it a shot. All right, big dog. What were you going to say?
It's so cool. I mean, we take it all for granted, but I'll tell you what a clever, invention that was, a combination gas valve, regulation safety valve, and you got your thermostat, calling for the heat. I mean, we take such things for granted, but that's actually a very, very incredible invention. That's many, many years and just gets better and safer. So well done, Mr. Cates.
Well done, Mr. Cates. What do we have up next, Kenny Smyers?
Well, we're moving along into the the end of the year. We're at 20 November, and it's just a couple of calendar blinks away, and we're going to be at the Control Trends Awards in Las Vegas, and it's just it's getting really exciting now. We're the nomination process is underway, and we're getting a lot of participation. It's really exciting. But the AHR folks reached out to us, and we worked closely with this organization. We had Mrs. What's her name? Audra Pointer asked us to keep our Control Trends community aware of what's going on. So in Las Vegas, January 30th through the February 1st, 2017, of course, we have the AHR Expo. And one of the most important aspects of the AHR show is that they too recognize and honor the most inventive and original products, systems, and technologies that are showcased at the AHR show in the categories of building automation, cooling, green buildings, heating, indoor air quality, plumbing, refrigeration, software, tools and instruments, and ventilation. So it's actually probably the biggest week in our industry as far as recognition. So the Control Trends Awards in conjunction with AHR Expo really bring to light some of the innovative and creative products in the development that'll be on hand at this year's or 2017's AHR show. So we will continue to post the AHR information. We're really excited, for the show coming up, and AHR does a great job. I mean, it's you can go one place for 2 or 3 days and learn a lot, see a lot. And we also have Mr. Ken St. Clair is going to be doing some very, very important networking and doing his collaboratorium again, and that's going to be a very, very interesting and a learning experience. So just a big, big week coming up there in the latter part of January and first part of February.
No, it's a super big week. And Kenny, people have been asking, we will have the availability to buy single-seated tickets. That'll come a little bit later. But right now, your best bet is to reach out to your platinum sponsors. They're the ones with the tickets. And, they would probably love to, entertain you. I mean, I think if you think about what happens at AHR, Kenny, typically you come in, if you're a vendor, you come in on Saturday and Sunday, you set your booth up, you get ready to go. You have some key customers come in, maybe for meetings or whatever, and then you take them out, right? So Sunday night, the Control Trends Award has sort of become the default event, for people to come. It's a place to see and be seen. You and I really endeavor to make it an entertaining night. And of course, it recognizes the greats in our industry, the people in our industry. So it's really, really something to behold. If you haven't been to a Control Trends Awards yet, it's the closest thing we have to our Academy Awards in our industry. So again, thanks to all our sponsors for making it possible. And Kenny, I guess you mentioned the holidays, and it just occurred to me, I'll be out next week. I think you will be too, and then I'm actually out the week after that. So we might theoretically be out 2 weeks before we have our next show, but I'll try to do it. I'm going to be on the road for 2 weeks, and we'll try to get one done. But if we don't, never fear, the man, the myth, the legend, and his sidekick will be back.
Well, I have a feeling you're going to find a way to make that hotel room or wherever you're staying into a little studio, and I bet you we'll do a out of the pocket type of show just to keep it going. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, we're traveling too. We're going to up near Scranton, PA. So
yeah,
yep.
Family stuff. Now, the other possibility might be is, Kenny, I might be able to get young gun Rob Allen to come in, and maybe he'll come in and do maybe he'll step in for me one of those weeks. And if not me, maybe Roger Rebenak would be a co-host. Who knows? We got some options. So if you're interested in being a co-host on the show over the next 2 weeks, send your audition tape in. The man, the myth, the legend, a.k.a. Kenny Fellini. We'll take a look at it and see if it works. All right, Big Dog. We're going to have Steve Galizium on from OptaG Energy here in a bit. How does he say his company?
OptaG.
OptaG will be on here in a few minutes. But Ken, let's get a couple more posts in before we bring Stevie on.
Well, yeah, let's roll right along here. We have the Siemens EchoView EMS is an end-to-end energy management solution. This stuff is coming on strong now. The CGNA folks are got this this new product. Actually, it's been out for a while, but they made some important changes. It's a hosted service now. It used to be charged. Now they made that go away. So now what we're talking about is they got a very handsome 7-inch touch panel gateway to the internet. Enables wireless control of thermostats, power meters, and other load control devices. So this is a very, very we talk about the race to the small space. This is a sprint. What Siemens has done is they've taken probably the three most important aspects of the retail, of the medical office, of the small commercial businesses. 12 rooftop units and below. Probably looking around, for the 5 to 12,000 square foot sweet spot, where most of our commercial buildings are 80% of them don't have anything more than a thermostat. Well, this Siemens EchoView control system is the solution for many, many of these applications, because you can, the three critical things: the lights inside and out, monitoring your energy consumption, really and truly staying focused on, the automated demand, and make sure you don't go into peak energy periods, and have strategies already in place. And of course, the most critical thing that you and I have come to hear several times, where they explain it's customer satisfaction. It's the end user being comfortable in their environment, and they work better, they're happier, they keep their tenants. So when you're trying to make, taking your choice of good, better, best, and your small, medium to large, applications, this, Siemens EchoView really and truly hits that bullseye right in the middle with your small to medium-sized commercial applications. This is a really, really good stuff. Tried and proven, and it just it's very affordable. I think we talk about some.
Yeah, I want to ask you something too, because I know you lived in Germany for a while, and for our listeners out there who might know, I'm a big camera buff, so I love cameras, and I think of Apple Computer as well. But it's interesting because Leica cameras are been around forever. They're considered the best cameras in the world, and they are uncluttered, meaning they don't have all the features in the world. They take 2 or 3 things and they just do them superbly well, and they're like the most sought after cameras in the world. And you mentioned that they take the top 3 things and do it really, really well. If you look at Apple and their products, Apple, people can argue that their products are defeatured, right? I mean, but they're notorious for taking 2 to 3 things and doing them extraordinarily well. And it seemed, and I'm just wondering, my guess is that product had a lot of, German engineering in it, because the screen's gorgeous. The things that it does it really, really well. And like you said, it hits the top 3 things. But is that, when you were in Germany, is that sort of a trait of German engineering, would you say, Kenny?
Yeah, I think you summed it up very well. In other words, trying to be the jack of all trades, master of none, they do something and they do it with the entire focus. And I think there's a couple of manufacturers that do that. I think Belimo has that same kind of concept, the same kind of engineering drive, where they're not trying to do everything. They just want to make the best damn actuator in the world, and every dime that they have was invested to do that. So Siemens does that too. But see, Siemens is one of those gargantuan companies that, when I lived in Germany, you say that, and it's kind of funny because I was in marketing, and one day I thought I was going to make a living somewhere in the world in marketing. It was I spent a lot of time and energy learning about it, and how it's so subtle and it's so important. Everybody takes it for granted. Selling and marketing is still very, very important to everything we do, even though it's taken for granted. But I'd go into a hospital, for instance, and being in the family business too, I'd look and see what the control systems were. But the door opener was the Siemens. The camera system was the Siemens. The elevator was Siemens. The temperature control on the wall was Siemens. Then to go to the operating, or into the, I was in the hospital, so I was visiting somebody, and it was a patient, and every piece of equipment was Siemens. I was thinking, my goodness gracious, I've never seen such coverage of end-to-end products. And then because what I was trying to make the analysis is in Germany, Siemens is the equivalent of like back when you had Marlboro and all those incredible commercials where you were saturated with the marketing. Every time you went to past the billboard, it was, or Coca-Cola. Coke is probably one of the top. McDonald's being who they are, and just in behemoths globally, their marketing is what sets them aside. Because I don't think anybody puts as much money into it and does it as well as some of these incredible companies. Well, Siemens does the same thing. So everywhere you turned around, every magazine you picked up, every billboard was Siemens. So of course now they because of EC, back many years ago, was in 1993 when they entered at the European community, they lost a lot of that singularity and that monolithic. They were the only choice, because then all of a sudden you had some great English companies and Italian companies and French companies all coming in and making Europe what it is now, or Western Europe especially, but through competition. But at one time, I was just amazed. So yes, Siemens does have a singularity focus. When they want to do something, well, they take all their resources and energies and they put it into that single focus, and that's why I think they are very successful with products. And I think that's what they're going to do here, because I want
to hop in real quick because I think the thing about Siemens is one of the largest controls company globally, but we've always been sort of limited to the products we could get through distribution over here. And so two trends I'm seeing with Siemens, and by the way, they are platinum sponsors, and they are up for a ton of awards again. But I'm seeing two trends with them, Kenny. One, they're starting to bring more of their product portfolio over. The second thing is they are getting some really young, dynamic executives, guys like Joshua Felburn and stuff like that, who are, we're fond of saying it's not your dad's Siemens, right? There was that commercial, back in the day, it's not your dad's Oldsmobile anymore. They're sort of reinventing themselves, at least in the U.S. market, and doing a fabulous job. So as a distributor, as contractors, as users, you're having more choices about where you can get the products and what products you can get through Siemens.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Because especially in the commercial market, once the building used to be Siemens, man, it was done. For us in this distribution world, we never got any of the aftermarket business. But now they've basically let loose all their Siemens. Their sensors now come through distribution. They make a fabulous product portfolio of valves and actuators. So yeah, they're certainly an option. And I think you're right. When they had a change in kind of their, like you said, it's not your dad's Oldsmobile anymore. It's not. Siemens has changed drastically in terms of reaching out and embracing two-step distribution.
Very, very cool, Kenny. All right, Big Dog, what do we have up next?
All right, Eric, our next post is Sierra Monitor Corporation, SMC, bridges BACnet to the cloud. Now, we see some great products out there end to end. You got some great accessory products. The people like ACI, Functional Devices, Dwyer, Veris. I mean, you got some really, really good corporations that fit that bridge the applications and make them work. But then the network happens. Then you get inside there and we see I think contemporary controls, in my opinion, they are the most venerated masters of the network that I've ever seen. And when we do have problems, we use that book that George Thomas gave us. I've got that for several people now, and that's downloadable on the internet. But on another hand, you've got Sierra Monitor Corporation. So I got this post up now, and I just want to talk about their press release from Milpitas, California. We actually stayed out there, if you remember. We went to Realcomm. That was the town we stayed in.
Yeah.
And then we were about a mile away from SMC. So on November 17th, they released another industrial Internet of Things solutions that connects and protects high-value infrastructure assets. They announced that the industry-leading BACnet gateways, routers, and network explorers are now IoT-empowered out of the box. So that means they're shipping with new software that allows customers to securely register, access, and manage their field-installed products from Sierra Monitor's Field POP device cloud. Sorry about that. So it's seamless, it's secure, and it bridges the BACnet-based facility networks to the cloud using the Field POP as a portal. So this gives some options to the facility managers. OEMs now, can take advantage of this and put it into their portfolio so that they can take care of connecting the industrial devices such as sensors, controllers, and remotely service and support them as well, and gave operational insights to improve the facility's comfort, safety, and energy efficiency. So another great product introduced by Sierra Monitor, and man, it just worked.
I got to tell you, Kenny, I love Oops, hit the wrong button. And love Varun Najarab, the CEO there. He came on and he did some network talks for us, and much like George Thomas with Contemporary Controls, these are CEOs that really know the product technically inside and out, passionate about what they do. Both Varun and George are up for Executive of the Year, and it's kind of cool, man. I mean, in this age of controls, there are a lot of choices to be made, and I think the fact that we got the choices, competition's a good thing. And if you haven't seen Varun's sort of CEO roundtable on networking, you definitely want to check that out. If you want to learn more about BACnet and networks, we've got the George Thomas series. BACnet sort of from A to Z, starts at the very basics and goes to pretty much in depth. So there's no excuse not to have good BACnet products. And speaking of BACnet products, BACnet International is going to be at the Control Trends Awards this year. So we're excited about having them on, and it's all looking good, Kenny, all looking good. And I tell you what, I've almost got Steve teed up, but I tell you what, we got one more post, so let's go ahead and hit it. We had the man with the bow tie, kind of like, Johnny Cash was the man in black, and Josh Bradshaw is the man with the bow tie. And we did a Control Talk Rewind. We had him on October 30th. Great interview. And we realized with our audience that a lot of times, you might not have time to get through the whole show. So some of these really key interviews, we're breaking them out so you can hear them later on. But I encourage you to go to Control Trends and check out the Josh Bradshaw interview. Anything else you want to add about Josh's interview?
Well,
Kenny?
yeah, I'll tell you, Josh is amazing. I think out there, Josh is actually in between workspaces. He does a lot of stuff himself. He's an entrepreneur, and he's very, very adept at investing out there in Silicon Valley. But he tells us he's actually looking for another opportunity out there. So if anybody is looking for a guy who lives in Silicon Valley, understands it, and has an incredible background on all things with the IoT. I mean, his background is incredible, but his posts on Facebook, for instance, I look forward to him every day. He is in the up in the clouds with the guys that are really and truly introducing the newest technologies and innovations. It's just one post after another. So
his kids play with Larry Page and stuff. Larry Page's kids from Google and stuff like that. And you remember he was the guy who went out and actually covered the solar plane that Google had fly around the world, right? And he was there when it landed. Actually did an interview. And now I don't know about you, but down here we're seeing the commercials where Google's going, we're going to connect the world via internet in places that don't have internet, and they're taking those solar planes and they're putting them up there, Kenny. So Josh was right there when from the inception to the first flight. He's all over it. So just cool guy, man. Great guy.
Sure is. And like I say, he puts a lot of information. It makes it available. He's like eyes and ears. So it's like I always like getting tips on what's happening, what's going to be new, and what the impact could be. Well, that's what he does. He does it almost every day. So he's always in that stream. Silicon Valley must be a really interesting place to live. I mean, it's like or I always made an analogy with like Pennsylvania and with new technology. It either happens on the East Coast or the West Coast, or it comes from Europe or it comes from Asia, but it normally comes in through like Los Angeles or San Francisco, and it bounces like a ball. It hits into Phoenix, Arizona, or Dallas, Texas, and it bounces up to Chicago, and then hits St. Louis maybe, and then it just goes over Pittsburgh, hits New York, hits Boston, hits Philadelphia, bounces off the wall again. And about 3 years later, it finally plops right down there in Pittsburgh. Everybody says, wow, did you guys see this stuff? Or look at these new things. And with technology, we see that it happened with like direct coupled actuators. Our region was very slow to adopt it. Ball valves, the engineering community was just brutally resistant to, ball valves. And now, of course, they're sliced candy or sliced bread and chocolate candy. So it's like the original thoughts that come out of that place in California. It's just amazing. And plus, it controls 30% of the world's investment revenue is in that tiny place.
Well, I tell you what, I think Silicon Valley, Hollywood back in the 20s and 30s when movies first came around, I think is what Silicon Valley is to technology. And maybe you think about that, and I think it'd be an interesting place to live. I think, Josh sort of alluded to, and Therese Sullivan too, I think it can kind of be a bit of a brutal place to live too, kind of like in Hollywood back in the day. I mean, you're some young actor or, starlet, you come along and, you're only as good as your last picture, right? So,
very good. Yeah. Josh Josh was saying, it's brutal that such a large percentage of ideas fail. You
Yeah.
fail, and that's the whole concept, is to fail forward, fail often, and then not be afraid of failure. So, but you always have a couple of things going, because you can't rely on just one single thing, because it changes like the weather. The technologies that are introduced and then examined and accepted, or they come in every day like a torrential downpour. So really interesting stuff. But we really appreciate Josh, because what he does for us, like Tree Sullivan, is he makes that applicable to our industry, and sometimes very difficult to do. Not only you don't know it's out there, but you don't understand the impact it may make in the future, in the very near future, on how we do business. So you ready
for an analogy real quick? Ken, I'm going to give you one. One just popped in. So, I think the secret to being a great hitter, imagine if you're a hitter in professional baseball. Mm-hmm. And you knew what pitch the pitcher was going to throw before he threw it every single time. So what Josh Bradshaw and Therese Sullivan are doing, because we really think Silicon Valley is having a huge input, is they're letting you know what pitches are getting ready to come. Now, they can't tell you exactly when it's going to hit your area, because like you said, Pittsburgh and Atlanta may be in different time frames or whatever. But tracking people like that and tracking the trends on Control Trends, you at least have a good idea what pitch is going to be thrown. And so if a curveball is coming your way, you can hit a curveball if you know one's coming, but if you're looking for a fastball and they throw you a curveball, it's very difficult to change up.
That's a great analogy, because I think that is so true. I was trying to grab the Facebook page where I had seen some of the stuff that Josh had posted just last week, but the Realcomm show, how we saw the technology, the adoption rate, for these users is so fast. When they see something they like, they expect it to be available. I remember 3 years ago when you and I went out and met Jim Young, and he's saying that they wanted us to help qualify who were the master systems integrators in the country, who had the ability to service a national portfolio. Remember? And next thing you know, we've seen ESI gets purchased by CB Richard Ellis. We see Control Co. Changing their business model and going into the MSI Master Systems Integrator world, head first, because but that came out of an idea, that came out of a question. Next thing you know, boom, the change was already afoot. So I'm looking at Josh's on his Facebook, his website, and who he talks like he goes into these meetings where he meets the co-founders and CEOs. Like, if it Empower You, the connected home could be very well give you peace of mind when you're looking for as you get older. There's just so many things that that they can make life easier by making them connected. He was recently at he was a moderator for a panel at the IoT Innovation and Investment meeting in California. The panel had Tom Chu, venture partner at Inspire Capital, Tony Yang, managing partner at Technique Ventures, and Prem Tajara, senior vice president at the Fabric. The event begins at 10 a.m., but it was, just the people they had there were, this is really the think tanks that are putting out the information, the expectancies that, drive our economies, drive our businesses. So keep on track with Josh Bradshaw. Get up Facebook, just put in name Josh Bradshaw. It comes right up. November 17th, he had another interview with a gentleman on virtual reality. So what I mean is, like, the retinal scanning. Josh is he and Teresa are on top of it for sure, Kenny. And I tell you what, speaking of another guy that's on top of it, our next guest is teed up and ready to go. So without further ado, we're bringing one of our platinum sponsors on to talk about a product that I think is going to change the way we do smaller buildings. All right, Kenny. So how about introducing our next guest? I'd love to, Eric. We have one of the new dimension from a guy that's been in the business for a long, long time. We're going to be introducing Stephen Guzilium. Stephen, if when I say that wrong, you're going to help me correct it, because the rest of the world's going to help want to know how to say that right too. But this is the president of OptaG. Steve's been in the business for a long, long time. Background in Allerton, Phoenix Controls. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Steve, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Steve.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, yeah, we appreciate you, buddy. And first of all, I got to compliment you being a video guy. Your video is absolutely pristine. And I tell you what, you can tell a lot about somebody by their video, man. If you can do good video, you can do good controls, because videos, I think, sometimes harder than controls, especially in your guys' case.
Yeah, right on. No, I love this stuff. This is what I live and breathe every day. So happy to be here and looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Well, very, very cool. And listen, I think on behalf of the Control Trends community, we want to thank you very, very much for your platinum sponsorship. I think this will be your first Control Trends Awards, and it's kind of like the Hollywood event for the people in our industry, and without enlightened companies like and people like you that help support it just doesn't happen. So thank you from Kenny and myself, as well as the entire Control Trends community.
Oh, you're welcome. We're really pleased to be a sponsor of the Control Trends Awards. Looking forward to a great ASHRAE and meeting up with you in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, Kenny's chomping at the bit. So Kenny, I'm gonna let you ask this next question, buddy, because we got so much to talk about with Steve. Hop in.
Well, we did. We had some offline conversations, and Steve, you just again, I was very impressed with your background. I love building management and build energy systems, and you were hitting things so well. So let's just start back at how you got started with OptaG, and tell us about Obrix. What's happening?
Sure. So I've managed a dealer network in Canada for Allerton for many years, and learned a lot about small building space and all building spaces for that matter, and energy management and all the trends going forward. One of the businesses that I used to manage was a business of Obrix. Obrix is a group of businesses, and one of them was a large contracting business to the tune of $40-50 million. And so they do a lot of controls. They do controls every single day. They do energy management, and everything that happens in Australia tends to happen there first before it rolls over to North America. We see trends like energy management really hitting that part of the region very hard, because of the high cost of energy and the desire to have sort of advanced, high-performing buildings. So a lot of that sort of made it over to North America in the ensuing years. And having sort of this insight of what's coming kind of got my interest going in OptaG. OptaG is a business for Obrix. It started off as a product and evolved into a business as they realized that there was more and more needs for energy management, and specifically products that were not addressed in the portfolio of products for the building management companies that were making these things, manufacturers.
Well, Steve, I know you have a different perspective. Most of we all come from the energy side of things, and we rush to take care of equipment, make sure it's on and off, scheduling correctly. But you actually have a different take on that whole concept. What's your position on that?
Absolutely. It's easy to forget that people live in buildings and work in buildings and have to get a job done in those buildings. Companies set up within buildings to operate a business. So we sometimes get caught up in sort of the mechanics of running the business, turning the lights on and the HVAC and all that. But it's easy to forget about productivity. I think Mark Jewell has said it best over the years that the building energy or consumption is a small part of the operating budget of a business. In fact, the biggest and the number one expense for a business is payroll. So payroll tends to occupy a big interest from the financial side of running a business. Now, we rarely think about that as building management people. We think about turning HVAC on, lighting on, but all this stuff has an impact on productivity. And I think that's what we need to be focused on as we come up with technology and solutions in the world to meet the needs of the building. And that is to say, to improve the environment that the people work in, to improve the productivity, and to make the building a cash positive experience for the financiers. It's a completely different way of looking at the building.
Well, Steve, right, and that's a trend. Kenny and I have been talking a lot about the $300 rule, where really and truly the big saving is in the productivity savings. Nice to hear you to mention our friend Mark Jewell. We've had Mark on the show several times, and I think he is truly enlightened. For our Control Trends community out there, if you really want to know how to position and talk to owners, Mark is a guy you definitely want to check out. But Steve, when I look at your product, and I'm going to ask you to expand on this, but in conversations with you, you've got a very diverse background with the traditional BAS controls. You've been around it a long time. It seems like what you've done at OptaG is if you have taken the best of the best, the things that work, and you've stripped out the stuff that was complicated to make it simple. And then it seems like the other thing that you've really done is to make this product offering very, very affordable. So tell our Control Trends community a little bit about how the product got developed, the thought process, and what they can sort of expect in terms of what's it going to take them in terms of commissioning and sort of, not to give away direct prices, but when you think about, hey, we want to be below what the market's at price-wise, right at what the market's at, or we're going to be a little more expensive, sort of, if you would, put your product offering in.
Is that we're half the price of the next best alternative. So if you're used to using a Niagara implementation, this is not only half the cost, it's half the cost with free training and free updates. So this is a huge difference because, economics, there's an important sort of facet to the small building. It's not only technology and the cool stuff you can do, it's that can you do it at a price that's affordable for the small building. One of the things that I've learned over the years is in a traditional commercial building, like the one that the vast majority of the building management guys chase, I used to chase, the software and the building controller had to be roughly 5 to 10% of the overall job cost. In the small building, with current technology, you're looking at 30 to 40% of the overall controls job cost. The economics don't work in the small building with traditional technology. So all the big guys, they don't have products for the small space. They have to design new products, and their overhead just is not amenable to that. Our product in the control spend, if you take, for example, jobs that you would be familiar with, 2 rooftop units, a dozen VAV boxes, thermostats, wiring, installation, that's roughly a $16,000, $17,000 job to the controls guy. And of that, if you were to put a Jace and software and a PC, you're looking at $4,000 to $5,000 of stuff to make that happen as a contractor. Well, with ours, you're looking at $700 for the contractor, and it's all in. So everything they need is in that box. So they mark it up, and they now have a solution that's sub $2,000 marked up, and they can deliver that $16,000 job for probably $14,000. So there's
Steve,
much more competitive.
If I understand you, okay, so I understand what a Jace is. We sell tons of them. So you have a product that serves as the web-enabled controller, yep. But you lay that on top. Okay, but you're laying it on top of somebody else's controllers and actuators and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So okay. All the unitary controllers, all the sensors, all the things, they're all BACnet pretty much nowadays. Right. We can also talk to Modbus. So there's another little secret that we're coming out with, and we're going to launch this at AHR, but we're going to find a way to use even lower cost I/O than traditional BACnet controls. We're also looking at Modbus implementations that will drive the costs even further down. But yes, that's exactly what we're doing. So what we're going to substitute in this configuration is we're going to put in a device that is a supervisor, so it's a full front end. Mm-hmm. It's an energy management system. All your reporting and energy management. It's a building controller, does the control logic like wire sheet and programming. And it's a full-on BACnet router, meaning it can do MSTP to BACnet IP, and it can do Modbus RTU and Modbus IP and bring it all to BACnet. And it can coexist with the legacy system that's in the building. So it's sort of the brand agnostic controls that we're bringing to the market. It's kind of like when you look at some of these fault detection things, SkySpark can sit on top of just about any system, right? Because it does fault detection, that's what they do. Well, we do building and energy management. We can be operating by itself, or we can sit on top of an existing system and layer in all kinds of interesting features. So things that the current building management system doesn't do. With us, what we're doing is we're taking a different approach. We're trying to disrupt on price. We are going to disrupt on price. That is one of our focuses. We design this product with price in mind. Now, I'm a sales guy, so usually I want price to be, as high as possible for the market. But in this space, me and our CEO, Trevor Owen, we turned this upside down and said, look, we're going to design this product on price. And we came up initially with a price. And then the question was posed to me, how do we lower the price? And let's not just lower it a bit. How do we lower the price 30% from the price that I had set for this? And I just couldn't believe that, because no one in my career has ever asked me how I can lower my price other than contractors trying to shake me down, you know? So,
Sure.
so we really designed this upside down. We started with the price, work the economics of that small job that I just described, fit the economics, and then we'll find the packaging and the everything and make it suit that price. We have the insight of a contracting business, which means we know how buildings get put together, from the construction side of things, from the service side of things, from the commissioning, energy management, all facets of how the building goes together. That insight is what we build into the product to give us the better workflow so that we can get on and off the job faster if I'm a contractor. It gives us more insightful reports and information so that the end user can see the information and get what they want out of the system. We've built the system with basically easy to use workflow. And what that really means is, for the contractor, they need to deliver a system quickly and effectively. And so that's what this system does for them. For the end user, we give them the things they're looking for, the ease of use, creating reports, modifying the system, customizing the system to suit their needs. These two things work together, but often are engineered separately in the traditional building sort of services and building construction. We want to deliver easy to use software. And effectively, what we're really looking to do is to democratize controls, bring it to the everyday contractor who can deliver systems for small buildings. In fact, the small buildings, what really kindled my interest. And that is to say, buildings that are usually underserved or not served at all. And in a lot of cases, just because the building's small doesn't mean they want to have lack of knowledge and insight of how their building runs. Because again, the same story about productivity runs right through the small building. In fact, it may be more important in the small building because you have so few people versus the overall cost of running a business, that having the insight to run your business effectively means you can keep absenteeism down. Absenteeism in a small company is a huge part of efficiency. So when you only have one of everybody in a small building operation, guess what? If you lose that one person, what happens to the business? It goes sideways, doesn't it?
Well said. Well said.
Well, I like that democratization of controls. I haven't heard that term before, but I think you hit the nail on the head. And one of, what was it? One of everybody? You only have one of everybody. That's because, I think too that Eric and I, we have that passion to go into the race to the small space, and that the small buildings are underserved because most of them are, the lights are out of control. They use a time clock, and if they have a power outage, now your lights are on in the daytime, off at night. So tell us how you get started with OptaG. I mean, what's a contractor user first step?
Yeah, we have first step is come to ASHRAE. If you're a contractor, chances are you're coming to ASHRAE to see your vendor partners, and you want to see how it all goes together. That's the simplest way. And get to know us. We're at booth 1075 at ASHRAE, and it'll be a good time and a chance to see the product up close. But the way we do things with our customers, is we get acquainted with a web session like we're doing right now, and we do a little guided tour of the system. Once that, and a guided tour of the system is simply as going through the tools and the software that we have. As you mentioned, we have two products. We have an enterprise software product that installs on a virtual machine or a piece of hardware. And we have a little hardware-based supervisor controller that goes all onto one little box, and that little box can get put on the wall, and we can just tie into it and do all the engineering and show you the inside guts of the system, basically. Putting the system together is really simple. Go ahead.
No, great. Again, I just had a couple questions because I think what I wanted to ask is that you're already really well established in Australia. I see that you have locations in Europe and Asia, and as we get to know more and more about North America, tell us a little bit about how where you're at and the successes that you've had.
Yeah, so a couple of what we've done is we did start in Australia, so we have our sort of head start out of Australia, a little over 2,000 systems installed worldwide. We have just launched this year our Proton product in North America and Europe. So and expanding. So a big part of what I do is recruiting resellers so that we can get to market. That's our path to market. We go through distributor partners, system integrators, OEM type equipment manufacturers, anybody that needs a little web front end for their building or their system. We're the ones that we're looking. Those are the types of reseller partners we're looking for.
Awesome.
Big part of what we're doing right now in North America is recruiting. The second part of that is beginning to deploy. So we have a number of partners, and we've done some interesting work. We're just getting out into the small building space right now. In fact, we just did a sponsorship for one of our reseller partners in California for the Tiny House Project. I don't know if you ever get a chance to see that. Great show on TV, and we've actually put our system into a tiny house.
Nice,
yeah.
Interesting.
Well, so to get a hold of you, what's the easiest way? Because we will have a lot of people interested now. I think you're doing a great job of introducing OptaG and Obrix to the Control Trends community. How do they get a hold of Steve?
Okay. Yeah, there's I'm about the easiest person to find. Steve Guzlimian. You Google OptaG and you'll find us easy. info@optag.com will get you an email into me, right to my inbox. And if you want to go to my LinkedIn page, you can find Steve Guzlimian. Easiest name in the world. There's only two of them that exist. So find Steve Guzlimian on LinkedIn. Happy to take your.
Well, Steve, I tell you what, we could go on for hours and hours and days, but needless to say, the Control Trends community has a new friend and a new technology to look at. So if you're at AHR, you definitely want to stop by Steve's booth. Control Trends, hey, Steve, we're going to come by with your permission. We'll be at AHR after the Control Trends Awards. We want to come by your booth and maybe, film a demo of your products so our Control Trends community that doesn't make it to the show can see what you're all about. But in the meantime, I encourage you to reach out and contact Steve. And Steve, thank you so much for taking some time to be with us today.
Yeah, right on. I'm glad I could be here. Thanks, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you at ASHRAE.
Kenny, man, that was great stuff from Steve. We really appreciate him. And buddy, I tell you what, we're kind of up against it time-wise, so I think it's time for us to hop off. I know you've got a football game to go to, and we're going to rock and roll. So with that, a special thanks to our platinum sponsors this week, OptaG and Blue Ridge Technologies. Our guest this week, Stacy Kimball from Snyder Electric, and of course, Steve Guzlimian from OptaG. And thank you to David Cates for answering Roy's questions on Ask a Controls Expert. So with that, Kenny Smyers, man, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And
Thank
to
you.
our audience out there, when Kenny and I sit down for Thanksgiving dinner, one of the things we're going to be thankful for is all you that tune in and check us out. So have a great Thanksgiving. Remember, be bold, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers. And there we go. All right.